Yay! Welcome back. We're live. Welcome everybody back. I am talking to one of our biggest rivals. I think that's fair to say. And we're here to talk about the Ravens. So I have a weird relationship with the Ravens in the fact that I'm not
You love it,
supposed to cheer for them. I'm
but
not
you love it.
supposed to cheer for them, but I cheer for Lamar Jackson. I will openly admit I cheer for Lamar Jackson. I want him to do amazingly well, and I also want him to continue to lose to us every time he plays us. But without further ado, this is not about me. This is about you. So I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about how long you've been a fan, how you became a fan, how you're driving, talking, and coordinating all of this together. And tell us about you.
So my name is Darryl, and I am a Baltimore Ravens fan. I do like the Ravens. Liked them since the day we got them. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was
Okay.
1996. I was in the eighth grade, I believe, and it was a thing like, "Hey, do you know Baltimore's going to get a football team? The Cleveland Browns are moving to Baltimore," and it was just one of those things like, "Okay, well, we had a football team. We had what's called the Baltimore Stallions, which was a CFL team that was in Baltimore. It's kind of weird.
Hmm.
Don't know why." But we had the Baltimore Stallions, and I went to a couple of those games at Memorial Stadium, and we liked them. I think we won a championship. But then it was like, hey, out with the Stallions and with these new guys called the Ravens. And that year we drafted a guy named Ray Lewis with our second pick.
Nice.
Once that happened and Ray Lewis became Ray Lewis, and he was like uh, I mean, he embodied Baltimore. So I mean, everybody
Mhm.
fell in love. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, it's we're a city that kind of loves our own, and this was like the first NFL team that we had when my generation, like I'm 41, so I never saw the Colts leave. Like the Colts left,
Okay.
I think uh, maybe a couple years before I was born, or maybe the year I was born, or something like that. But so I never had any ties to the Colts. But when we got the Ravens, we were like, yeah, we got a football team.
Yeah. It's so funny to hear everybody's journey to becoming a fan because I actually, if I'm honest, I didn't realize the history of expansion teams in the
Right.
NFL. Like I never realized until I started doing this and talking to people, like who came where, who did what, why,
Mhm.
whatever. So that's cool. So which again makes the Steelers like a really good organization. Just kidding. So tell me a little bit about what you guys have done this off season. Obviously, I kind of have to pay a little bit of attention to what's happening, just because I'm a competitor. But I would love to hear from your perspective. How do you feel like you all did in free agency? I know that some of the coaches have left to become head coaches other places. So how have you all been doing in free agency?
All right, so being a Ravens fan, you've come with the feeling that you're we're kind of like that stepping stone for a lot of people to make careers. Like coaches
Okay.
will have a coach, and they'll like our team will be so good under this coach, and our guys will love them, and then that coach will go get a head coaching job somewhere else, and even take some of our guys that we've grown to love. I mean, it happened with Rex Ryan when he went to the Jets, and he took Bart Scott, and he took Leonard, and a lot of our key pieces to our defense. So with Baltimore being such a gritty city, we've always loved defense. We've always been those guys where we had great defense. Our offense sucked for years. I remember the year we won the Super Bowl, we went 5 games without scoring a touchdown. Like, and
Mm,
we won 3 out of 5. That was the first Super Bowl. We won 3 out of the 5 games. We've always been a defensive team, and I think that kind of even spoke to the city and how our city is. We're more like a tough city, or we pride ourselves on that. So we see a lot where like I said, coaches they leave to go be head coaches. They come to Baltimore, they do great things, and then they leave. So it's always a little bittersweet because you want guys to be able to go and become head coaches or be
yeah.
coordinators and things like that. So you never really get mad, but it's like sometimes it's like we're always on that cusp of, hey, we can get another Super Bowl if we can keep this intact. So when that happens, like I said, it's a little bittersweet. As far as our free agent signings, I personally don't try to keep track of all of them just because, like I
Okay.
said, the camp. so many things happen. Like some guys that you sign right now, they're not even going to be around when it comes to camp, or they're not going to be around until the season. So like you see stuff like that all the time. But of course, we signed some marquee players like um, what's the big guy's name, the running back from Tennessee.
Derrick
What's his
Henry,
name?
King
Derrick
Henry.
Henry.
Yeah.
So I know we signed Derrick Henry. How I feel about that? I was watching an episode of I think Ryan Clark, and he made a
The
really good
pivot.
point. Yes, when have the Ravens not been able to run the football? Like
Yeah.
we've always been able to run the football. So I
Tell
just
me
don't
about
know. I don't know if
it.
Derrick Henry coming in is like, oh, now we have identity as a running team. No, we've already had that. We've always been a running team. We've always done really well running the football. I just feel like when it comes playoff times, we kind of lose our identity, or we
Oh my
we get hit in the
gosh.
mouth and we go away from what we do best. That's my only thing. So I don't know if Derrick Henry signing with us is going to be like the magic to get us over that edge.
Yeah.
Some of our draft picks. Of course, we took the kid from Clemson, the DB. Like I want to see how he does. I think Clemson has a history of putting quality players in the NFL as of late. Like there's certain programs. It's
That's
like when the
fair.
guys come from those programs, they're like ready to go. They're ready. They're
Yeah,
NFL.
that's fair.
Clemson seems to be one of those programs. I think I'm more excited to see what the kid from North Carolina can do. Um, was it Dantes, the wide receiver? I'm kind of
Yeah.
excited to see what he becomes. He has a look about him when I watch some of his film or some of the highlights. He has this look about him like I can be a star. Like and
Some,
that's
yeah, I like that. Yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
it's
can
key
I
things
just be
like that.
honest and say, like, the Ravens are very, very similar to the Steelers. I think that's why we're such big rivals. And
Mhm.
there are certain players that you're like, he just looks like a Steeler. Or I'm sure you're probably thinking, like, he just looks like a Raven. Like, he just looks like
Mhm.
he's going to fit the part. And can I just say, I appreciate your Derrick Henry take because I love Derrick Henry, but I have the same take. It's like
Like,
he's a big name and that's great. But historically, if the freaking Baltimore Ravens runs the ball more consistently
right,
anyway, they win more games. So are they
right.
going to do that with Derrick Henry? Like, we
Uh,
don't, I mean, listen, when you guys play Kansas City, I'm cheering for you. When you guys play everybody but us, I'm cheering for you. But it's like there's certain things that I feel like are happening. Let's be honest, even when you guys play us, it's
mhm.
like we will be down. We all of a sudden, like, Hayward's out, can't stop the run to save our lives. And you guys are like, screw it. They can't stop the run. We'll pass. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. We bail teams out. We do
Yeah.
that a lot. We bail teams out, and I get it. Like I'm not one of those people like they're fans. Me, I played a little bit of football. I wasn't that great, but I understand how football goes, and I understand like there are things that lead up to a game. And as a fan, you're like, oh, you should be doing X, Y, Z. Well, things look way different on the TV screen than
True.
they actually
Yeah, that's
are
true.
in the game, and making adjustments and things like that. They become a little bit harder. I can't really say like, oh, the Ravens don't know what they're doing. Like you got some people that'll be like they don't know what they're doing, or this team don't know what. Like, no, they do know what they're doing. It's just that, like, I like they understand that formations, players, personnel, and things like that. They're trying to put themselves in a position where we could take advantage of what we see. Like, there's a lot of film that goes involved and things like that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all like met like professional athletes and we've talked to them, had conversations with them, and they'll tell you like it's so much that goes into a game plan,
Yep.
um, that to prepare throughout that game. So sometimes you're like, hey, why aren't they doing this? And it's like, well, that's not what they practiced for this game plan. Like they
Right.
sat down and they tried to like iron out what they were going to do, what they thought that they could do, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, you know what? Anytime I always talk to an athlete that's playing the NFL, they always say the same thing. It's something along the lines of, it's so easy to lose. It's so easy because so many things can go wrong. But it's so hard to win because
Yes.
because everything has to go right. The game plan has to make sense. You have to be healthy. The way that you drew things up actually has to happen that way. Like there's so many things. And I think as fans, You're right. We don't realize what's going on inside of those earpieces. We don't know what they're saying on the sideline. We don't even know what the players are saying on the sideline. So there's all of these dynamics that you're right. Sitting at home in my air conditioner, reclining, yeah,
Yes.
I can tell you a lot of things.
I laugh often when I hear people when they watching the game. They're like, "Oh, all you had to do was just run to the outside, like all the space is open." I'm like, "Yeah, because do you know what happens when you try to turn and run that way? Everybody's
Yeah.
going to be there. Like you're going to get one step, and everybody's going to be there. They call angles. It's like it looks different on TV than it does in the between the white lines. It's different.
100%. And I always say, like, even when I find myself getting frustrated, I will say, because I'm like, oh God, why can't we get pressure on the quarterback? And then I always go, they're trying. Like, they want to do that. They do want to do that, actually. Like, they're not
Another
trying.
right. There's another big person on the other side
Right.
who's trained not to let you do that. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happens.
And yeah, you forget about that. So
Yeah.
tell me about your biggest concern heading into the season. What's happening in Raven? What do y'all call yourselves? Ravens. What is it? What's y'all's like hashtag or what's your
Raven flop,
oh
something like that.
okay, yeah, let's not use that. Sorry to all the Ravens fans. You know, I'm not sorry to all Ravens fans. Ravens flop. How do you even use that in conversation?
I don't know. I guess that's like the hashtag around the town when you listen to the radio shows. I think they use. But
Okay.
what I'll say is my concern, honestly, has always been my concern. And I know we gave him a lot of money, and I do like him. I'm not speaking down on him.
Oh
I
no.
want to continue to see him transition more into like a passer that can beat you with his arm, can beat you consistently, like just can beat you with his arm.
Yeah.
Um, I like I don't even though he played the whole year last year. I don't want him to kind of abandon and go back to trying to run a lot and possibly get hurt. Like I said, we depend on the guy.
Yeah.
I think he's our guy. Like I'm not saying that. I think
For
he's our
sure.
guy. I'm glad we paid him. I wish we can get some more weapons and maybe some different type of weapons to him. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. I've started noticing the shift in the NFL. Like, listen, those Christian McCaffrey type running backs, we need those guys. Like, we need guys
Yeah.
like that on our team. Those just playmakers out the backfield. We got receivers. Zay Flowers kind of he. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't sold on him when we drafted him because I was like, we just drafted Hollywood Part Two. But I mean, he showed that no, he could be a dog. Like, and that's a good feel. I just wish we can get like maybe like I said another bigger receiver to throw to, a consistent receiver to throw to, allow Zay to kind of like be a playmaker,
Yeah.
which I think what he does best. Like I said, and these are just little things that me as the fan is wishing or hoping. Um, I'm in no position to tell them what they're doing or who's
No.
this or who's that. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be a fan at the end of the day, but these are certain things that like my concerns. Like I saw growth in Lamar last year. I want to continue to see more of that. I don't want him to like. I want him to use his legs when in pivotal situations where he
Yeah, because you
needs.
can't take that away from him. Like
No,
that's
that's a game
yeah.
changer. It can be a game,
Right.
but it's like I want it to be that game changer. I don't want him to use it to the point where he's actually taking chances of getting hurt and things like that. Like I said, we need him on the field. I thought he showed tremendous progress last year as a QB. I just only want that to continue to grow and be better.
Yeah. I can see that. And you know what? It's the ebbs and flows of Lamar Jackson. I
Mhm.
think even just watching him, like I said, from a rival but still cheering for him, I feel like he's the guy. He has the intangibles. It's just like, but and now that I'm talking about it, I'm wondering if that's the reason why the offense sometimes stalls, is because honestly, the coaches might not know what to do. It's like
Yeah.
they get into the situation and they're like, Lamar's going to save us, but and sometimes he does,
Yeah.
but he's not. It's like I feel like there's not an adjustment to what he is bringing. Um, Anyways, listen, I'm not here to figure it out for the Ravens. Like, that's not why I'm here.
I think
But
you make a good point though. I think, and that's a part of what I'm trying to say. I want Lamar to grow to be more or less a on the field player coach as well. Like when you talk
yeah, that
about
development.
those adjustments, it's like Lamar. When you're coming in line and certain plays are called in certain situations, I want you to be like, man,
No.
the hell with that one. Like, I
Right.
listen,
Yeah.
because we see it often where we're like, why did they call that play? Why are they going away from this? I want to see, and I could be just talking crazy. Like he could not do this. But I want to see Lamar be like, you know what? Nah, we going back to this,
Yeah.
and to show that, because I just have a feeling that, hey, Tom Brady, if a play gets called there, if Josh McDaniel will call a play that Brady don't like, Brady's like, nah, we ain't doing that. And I
Ben
want to kind of see
Roethlisberger
Lamar,
does it.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I want to see
Patrick
Lamar.
Mahomes does it. Yeah. It's
I'm
like, you
yes,
want
I
to see
want to see
him
Lamar
manage the
take that
game as a
right
quarterback. You want to
and
see him take control and say,
as an
"Hey, they
as an
said run,
elite,
we're not running
right,
it. Yeah,
right, as
they
an
said
elite.
right, we're going to the left."
And I think honestly, I think he's earned the right to be able to do that. Like I said, don't get me wrong, Patrick Mahomes has won Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes can veto and decide really, hey, if he don't like something that's called, you going somewhere else with it. I want to see. I think Lamar's earned that right here in Baltimore, where I kind of want to see that. Like I want to see him take control of when the game is on the line. I got this. I'm
Yeah,
gonna. I know where we're going with this football. I know I've been looking at this all day long. I'm just as I'm taking mental notes as this game progresses. I know where they're getting weaker at, and
I
how we're
like
going to
that.
exploit that.
I like that and I respect that. And I think you're right. I think that's progression of a quarterback is you can have all the intangibles, you can make all the throws, you can insert all the things you can do well, but it's like that final piece is I need you to actually be the play caller for real. Like I need you to
Right.
hear what the offensive coordinator is saying. And then I need you to be able to say, listen, I'm looking at so and so on the other side of the line who like is gasping for air. I'm changing
Hmm.
the play. And when it's over, I'm going to tell you, hey, I changed that out because I saw, so and so leaning over. And yeah. So can
And
I
I
just
can live with
ask?
the results. I can
And
live
I
with the
you can
results.
right because he's developing, and that's what I
Mhm.
think. There's this misconception that when you go to the NFL, the development stops. It's like in college they prepare you for the NFL, and then once you get in the NFL, there's zero development, and it's such a bad. To be fair, there's a lot of college football fans that feel like once you make it to the NFL, you've made it, and it's like that's not how it goes. I think it actually gets harder because they're literally trying to take your spot every Tuesday. There's somebody
Mhm.
coming in to take your spot every Tuesday. So it's like you have to continue to develop. I
Right.
would be remiss if I didn't ask you, how did you feel about losing Queen? How did you feel about losing Patrick Queen to the Steelers?
All right. So first of all, losing Queen was like, oh my god, my stomach hurt. And then losing them to the Steelers, like my stomach hurts because someone stabbed me, like literally stabbed
Okay,
me in the
okay,
stomach. That's what that felt like. Like it was just like I don't get me wrong. It was rumors around here like we wouldn't be able to keep Queen,
okay.
and I just kept saying to myself, we're gonna figure out a way to keep Queen. But I mean, it was like when they say, "Oh, Queen's gone," he's gonna want money and different things, and it's like, but then it's like to the Steelers, like, come on, like now we
Have
got to
you
go up
seen him?
against them.
Have you
Yo, he's
seen him kind of? I'm not saying he's like talking trash, but I feel like he's kind of sending shots. Like
I
oh
honestly, I think he feels disrespected. I think I, I
okay.
think he
Okay.
feels like y'all didn't do enough to keep me, and now I'm gonna show y'all what
Mm,
y'all lost. And I don't listen. I don't want to have to face him 2 times a season. Like especially, don't get me wrong. Listen, I think that the AFC our division is the hardest division in
it
football
is by
because
bar none.
right. Like it's like no teams want to come up here to play us. And
No.
even I don't care how bad the Browns are. It's like when we play the Browns, it's like, yo, what the hell? Like, and
Yeah,
then
all of a sudden they
the
can
Steelers,
tackle, they can make
they can
plays,
they
the
can do
receivers catch the
everything.
ball. Yeah.
Right. And it's like the Steelers, I'm gonna be honest with you. Last year, I was just saying to myself, please do not let the Steelers make the playoffs. Like I was nervous about the Steelers making the playoffs because
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, it's like, duh, you get them in the playoffs and it's a whole different ball game. It's like they catch
Mhm.
fire. They're already a tough nosed football team. It becomes really difficult, like I said, with this AFC, our division. Like I mean, it's tough, but that lose him to the Steelers, that was not a place that I wanted him to go.
Okay.
Um, and I hope that's a big hole. Like I know we drafted a kid from Penn State. And I have a friend of mine that's actually a coach at Penn State, and he spoke highly about different players that were coming out for this draft. So I'm gonna ask him like, what's this kid about? Like,
Yeah.
is he good? I just historically Penn State hasn't really been putting out
Not
like
good
great
linebackers.
linebackers.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we took a kid from Penn State 2 years ago. And he didn't have not one sack his whole senior season, and we drafted him in the first round. And I'm like,
Mm.
is he really that guy? I've my views about him are still out. Like, I mean, he's a decent player, but he's number
He's not
99.
a Raven. I
No,
like the thing I
yeah,
always he's not a Raven. The thing I always say about and this might be true about Baltimore because everybody says we're mirror images of each other as a football team. I always say like the Steelers know how to get linebackers. We know how to get receivers. Like that's just kind of what we do. And historically, usually our offensive lines are pretty good. Last year it wasn't that great, but usually it's like we play, old school football. It's like the positions that everyone's like, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. But like, no, we take pride in that. You have to have a good person there.
right,
Well, that's cool.
right.
So then the next question, we kind of talked about it, is when you look at the schedule, who are you most concerned about? Like, what matchups are you most concerned about? Is there any games on the schedule? I know as of this recording, it hasn't come out yet. I think it's coming out very soon. But would love to know, like, what are your thoughts on your schedule? Is there anybody that you're like, we have to play? Of course, we have to play these guys again. Here we
Yeah,
go.
it's the same 6 games every year. It's twice with the Steelers, twice with Cincinnati, twice with Cleveland. Like I don't like. No matter how good we are, we struggle in those games. And that, like I said, that speaks to the volume of the division. Like
Yeah.
I mean, in the years we were like 13. I think we went 13-3 one year, and like we literally struggled against every one of our divisional opponents. Like
Yes.
is this so no so every no matter who was on the schedule, like I think this year we have what, the NFC. I think we have Dallas and all of them on the schedule this year.
Oh, is that who it is? I can look
uh
real fast.
yeah, I want to say we have
Uh,
Dallas because it was talks about I think we played Dallas in Dallas. So
oh, okay.
I was talking to friends of mine like, hey, we should go to that game.
Yeah,
um
so I'm looking at the Steelers schedule. Oh, and we have the AFC West. So it looks like we
AFC
have the
West,
AFC
yeah.
East, which is NFC East, which is the Cowboys, the
Yep,
Commanders, the Eagles,
yep, yep,
and
yep.
Dallas. And then we play the Kansas City
Giants.
Chargers, Raiders, and Denver.
All right, so outside of our division, I mean, of course, we got Kansas City. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it's Kansas City.
yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm okay with losing to Kansas City. Like, all right. So even with last year, I felt like we won too many games at the end. I don't know what it is. And this is just me, maybe my stigma. When teams go on long winning streaks like that, they normally drop it in the playoffs. It's something about
Facts.
football.
No,
Um,
the Browns. Like that's my theory too. I always remember when the Steelers were like 10-0 or 11-0 or something stupid, and I was like, "This is the worst thing for my team."
yeah, it's like
Because losing, like, I hear you. I don't know what it is, but I hear you. It's almost like it humbles you. It's that reality check.
yes,
Like,
yes, and
yeah,
sometimes you need that feeling of, oh, because like
yep,
when you lose some games, especially when you lose some tough games, it brings people together in the locker room to make you say, yo, we got to figure this out. We got to readjust ourselves.
right.
But when you're winning, when you win 10 games in a row, man, everybody in the locker room smiling, everybody talking about, oh, how much
Every
fun they
week.
had. Trust me, I've seen it happen. I remember the year the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl. They started off the season 13-0. And I remember I was saying to myself, like, they might want to drop some of these games just to kind of
Mm-hmm.
refocus their team. And they lost the last 3 games of the season. They finished that season 13-3, and they won the Super Bowl. Like I can't say that's the reason, but it's just one of those things. Last year, I think we won what, like 11 games in a row. going into the
Yeah, it
playoffs.
was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. I think that the last game that y'all lost was like to us. And
Right.
let's be
And
honest, like we weren't very good.
but it was one of those things where it was like you could feel the whole city. Like we were preparing for the Super Bowl parade. Like when first round of the
Mm,
playoffs. Like the city, I promise you, the city was talking. Like I talked to my friends, and everybody like, "Oh no, we straight, man. We got this." And I said to myself, like, "Dog, we gonna lay an egg in the
yeah.
playoffs. Like we just not. It's just one of those things where losing sometimes, like you said, recenters and refocuses you.
Hmm.
And I just felt like I feel like if we drop one to Kansas City in the regular season, that'll just make us that much more prepared for them in come playoffs. Because that's what the
Yeah.
key. You got to beat them in playoffs. And honestly, like
That's true. The regular
they
season really does. Yeah. Well, can I just also say, I think one thing that, if I'm honest, pissed me off last year when the Ravens was playing Kansas City is I felt like you guys let Kansas City bully you. And I'm like, you're in the AFC North. How dare you let these guys come up to Baltimore and push you around? Like,
can I tell you
you
can I
won't
tell you
let the
something?
Steelers push you around. Like, what are we doing here?
Kansas City showed why they're Kansas City. I'm not even gonna lie to you. They showed it in the NFC and AFC Championship, and they showed it in the Super Bowl. I so the hotel that's contracted for the all the teams when they come to play the Ravens
Mhm.
is like right down the street from my house. They just built this brand new hotel. And I go in there often sometimes on a Friday or something to eat brunch and things like that. And I happened to go in there the week after we lost to Kansas City. And the bartender was telling me, he was like, dog, he said Kansas City came in here and they were about business. He said they weren't friendly. They weren't talking to nobody. Like other teams, they come in and they be down in the lobby. You see the players getting together, going out. He said you could tell it was something different in the air about them when they was there. He said they snuck
Mm.
Taylor Swift in. She said he told me, he said they rented out the whole 10th floor for Taylor Swift or something like that. But he said no one, like the players, they just had a look about them like they was not here to play. They was not here to like enjoy. They were all about business. And playoffs, it means something. Like that playoffs is different than the regular season.
It
Sometimes
is,
you got
yeah.
teams that are just veteran teams who've
It's
been here
true.
before. They know how to get it done.
And you know what?
That's
That's
Kansas
a good
City.
perspective. And you're right. Like that they are champion. Like they had the heart of a champion. Like it sounds something similar that I've heard about Kobe, like of just I don't give an
Yeah.
F. We just won a game. Who gives a shit? Like
Right.
we have three
Right.
more games to win. It's like
Right.
that mentality of like, yeah, that's fun. And we'll hang out after this, but we have to take care of business.
And that's
And can I just say, like, that's my excitement about Wilson is so now I need to just say this just for context. So I think for my Steelers, for so long we had veterans and we had people and it was people. We had Ben Roethlisberger, we had Pouncey, we had like James Harrison, like insert guy, right? That we had, and then it was like one day they were all gone.
mhm.
And we no longer had an identity of like people that had been there besides Mike Tomlin. And so it's
Well,
exciting for me now that we're
that's a
bringing back we have Wilson. He's a veteran. He's probably the oldest guy on the team. So now it's like we have Wilson on offense that knows what it's supposed to look like. We have Cam Hayward still. We have TJ Watt, who is I don't know if he's a dog, like obviously, but I don't know what he's like as far as rallying the guys. Because everybody's not a rally guy. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys just come in, take care of business, hold you accountable, and keep it moving. I don't know what TJ Watt is. And then we have Minka. So it's like we finally have older guys that I feel like can say, stop doing that. Like,
I
are you watching
forgot
film?
I forgot about Wilson, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that makes me a little bit more scared of y'all because I think he has a chip on his shoulder. I don't think
Right.
he's done. I think what happened to him in Denver sucked. I just think that he was in a place where when Sean Payton came in, he just wasn't Sean Payton's guy. Like
I
I don't
agree.
think Sean Payton wanted him from the jump because when you look at his performance, I'm like, oh, he wasn't bad.
He
He
wasn't.
it
And
wasn't he
can I say his numbers were better than every single quarterback we played last year by far combined?
Yeah, he was not bad. Like, did he go out and just win games? No, but that's hard when you have a bad team. Like we
Mm-hmm.
forget like being on a bad team is a bad team. I don't think Bo Nix, who they just drafted, is going to come in and do anything better than
Nope.
what Russell Wilson did. Like, I think you're just a bad team. But
Yeah.
I do think Russ being somewhere with a Mike Tomlin, like Mike Tomlin is one of those guys where, like, I mean, he's a player's coach. He's the guy you want to play for. Like,
Yeah.
even in the midst of all of the stuff between AB's always come back and say like, "Yo, Mike Tomlin's the guy." Like it's just
Yeah.
he's just one of those guys that guys like you get round up and you'll run through a wall for him. And I think him being there is going to be better for him. I think he's going to show the NFL like, hey, I am not who y'all think I am, and I'm not done. But I also think it's great that y'all took Justin Fields because one of the things I have about the NFL nowadays is we think that QBs coming in from college are ready to go, and
And
it's
they're
not always
not.
like that. Like, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, there are some Peyton Mannings that well, that ain't Peyton Manning.
CJ
He's something
Stroud.
first, right? There are some guys that
Yeah.
can, but there's
Yeah.
some guys where you need a good situation, and Chicago wasn't a good situation for him. I think sitting there trying to learn under a guy like Russ and getting a chance to say, you know what, it's not like the weight of winning is not on me right now. Let me
Mm-hmm.
just, without the pressure, let me just, you know what I'm saying, just see where I fit in and just get better. I think that's going
Yeah.
to help him out tremendously. I don't, I'm gonna be honest with you. I met the kid Caleb, the number one pick. I met him when he was in 10th grade high school. His high school was across the street from my job.
Oh, right, because he's from that area. He's from where you're
Yeah,
from. Oh, up there.
he went
Okay.
to Gonzaga. And I never forget the day after he won the state championship, his 10th grade, he threw for 6 touchdowns. I actually seen him in the Starbucks. We talked for like 30 minutes. Cool kid. I could tell he was a great kid. I don't think, even though I like him, I don't think him and Justin Fields are that different. I don't think that
Mm.
Chicago is like, oh, we got our savior now. No, like I think him and Justin Fields are the same QB. It's just that, like I said, every QB is not ready to come in the NFL. The NFL is different. Like
It's
it's way
tough.
different than college.
It's tough. I always tell people when people are like, "Oh, this is an NFL college program." That actually can't. That's not the sentence. Like this college program is like the NFL. It's not. It's actually not. I promise you, it's not. The locker room can't be. The coaching can't be. It's
The
not
the
the same.
players
And
the
the
players are
players, like,
different.
they're
I
grown ass men
I
and
played
they
against
don't give a damn about you.
I I I played against Vernon Davis and Sean Merriman in college. And we used to when I went to college that we used to scrimmage against them every summer and things like that. And I remember Vernon Davis doing certain things, and it was talks like, oh yeah, he's gonna be a first round draft pick. And I remember looking at myself like, yeah, go ahead and think about another career. This NFL might not be for me.
Yeah,
Like him and Sean Merriman were different type of athletes. Like it's like the game
totally
is
different.
fast when you got guys on that level that like guys that think, okay, I'm in college, I'm good. Yeah, you are. But there's a different level of good when you got
Mm-hmm.
other human beings. All human beings aren't created equally. Like we're just not.
Mm-mm.
Like all men aren't.
No.
There's some men out here that are just they're different.
Yeah.
And I've learned to be okay with that over the years. Like, and I'm 6'1", 240 pound running back, and Vernon Davis was
You weren't
different.
them. It's like,
Yeah, but
listen, it's the same.
Vernon
I played
was different.
volleyball. I played
Yeah,
volleyball, and I was like, I can compete with anybody. And then I was like, oh, hold, hold on a second.
yeah.
Like,
It's a
this
big,
is,
it's a big. Like
yeah,
you get humble, you be like, oh, okay. Like
yeah,
I see.
and yeah, and you're like, and that's the thing. It's like, and I also just think there's so much pressure. But again, you and and I won't go into this too much, but I just want to say, you and I have been fortunate enough to know a lot of pro athletes, to know a
Mhm.
lot of things and people, and we know what it is. We know what it is. We've
Yeah,
seen what it is. We are close to people that have been through it. And we've seen it with our own eyes, up close and personal, very personal. And so I think that sometimes that helps us also to assess things differently
hmm
because you know. And I always go into tangents about offensive lines. That's why I'm so passionate about the offensive line, because there's so many things that I've seen and had to realize, because former athletes, that I know and love have been like, no, let me tell you something right now. None of that matters because
Right,
this ain't it. You know what I mean?
right,
Like, yeah, he is good. Yeah, he
uh,
is good. But let me tell you something. Nothing is going to happen until they fix the right side of that line. You know what I mean? And it's
right.
like, and so anyways, I just think that as fans, and that's why I wanted to do this, is just like to talk to fans, get different people's experiences, because I always say the AFC North is the toughest division of football. I also say, and this is going to piss off other fans, which is fine, I also feel like the AFC North fan base, no matter which team you cheer for, is very knowledgeable about football because of the style of football we play. We don't play
Yes,
fancy
yes.
ball. You know
We're
what I mean? We
realistic.
don't
We're
yeah, we don't
realistic
play
fans.
fancy ball. We don't play like don't get me wrong. We all have our good receivers. We all have our
Hmm.
quarterbacks. We all have whatever. But that's not how we win games. We win games from our linebackers, our nose tackles, our edge
Hmm.
rushers, and our
Them
offensive lines.
trenches,
And yeah, and who can run the ball the
trenches.
best.
Right.
Yeah, and that to me is a different brand of football versus look at all of our shiny objects are
Right,
on
right, right.
defense.
It's listen, it's that old school. It's called smash mouth football. Like you got
Yeah.
people that's gonna like, hey, and this is how I know that we are respected in what you said. When you talk to players, when you hear former players talk, they will say, "Oh man, you don't want to go to Baltimore in the winter. You don't want to go to Pittsburgh in December." That's just
Yeah.
not like. Listen, first of all, it's already cold, and you got a man like James Harrison or Ray Lewis hitting you. You just don't want that. Like
Yeah.
one of my teammates in
And they're
college, he played
crazy.
right. One of my teammates in college, he played 4 seasons for the Steelers, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you. When he came in a year after me, I remember like he was in the booth. We were running backs together. I remember we'd be at the back of the line and like he wasn't getting no reps. And we had the starter who was led the team in rushing the last year. And then one rep he got, and everybody kind of looked at the starter like, "Oh snap, get
That's
this
it.
kid another rep." And listen, after about 5 of them things, we looked at the starter like, "Yo, you might want to transfer." And he did. He transferred. And I mean, when I went to the Steelers, like I remember asking him. I say, "Yo, like what's it like?" And he was like, "Yo, you feel every hit." Every hit you feel it. Like, and I wasn't no weak guy. Like he was about 225. He was an all-state wrestler. Like, so he
Yeah.
was he was he was one of them. But he told me like, dog, you feel every hit. Like you turn the corner, they right there. Like that whole like, oh, I'm just going like shake everybody and power through everybody like I did in college. No, it's
It's
not happening.
different. It's
Yeah,
different.
like
It's
you feel
different.
it's a difference, a grown man's strength over there.
Yeah. I know we need to end this. You have things you need to do, but
I
anything
like
else
this.
you
I enjoy
want?
this.
Oh yeah. Anything else you want like people to know about the Ravens? Anything else that's on your mind? I feel like we've already kind of talked. I like going on tangents. I think it makes the conversation good.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest. Like you know me pretty well. Like I feel like I've known you for probably 20 years or so. It's felt like it. I don't even know how long
It's
it's
been a
been.
it's been a
It's
couple
been a
years.
long time. So it's always cool to connect with people who like are just as passionate like about their team and just as interested about their team, even though our teams like can't literally like cannot stand each other. Like I think somebody said like during the rival, like if they walked by somebody and they were on fire, like they wouldn't piss on them. Like, but that's what it is, you know? It's like you just
It's listen, it's a rival. It's a rival because of the football. But I'm not gonna pretend like I don't like players or the Steelers organization. Like I like Tomlin. I like Tomlin a lot.
yeah,
And I've liked former players. Like I mean, who can't like Troy Polamalu or James
yeah.
Harris? Like and I like Ben. I thought Ben was a dog. Like he was tough, but it's a respect there. Like I said, we know when it's Steelers versus Ravens, you finna be in for a football game where it's gonna be like don't blink. I don't care what the score is, it can change real fast.
Yeah,
Remember
I
that
know.
year we had y'all in the playoffs, like we were up by 2 touchdowns and y'all went on. Didn't y'all go to the Super Bowl? Y'all
Okay,
beat us in the championship. Oh my
no,
god.
I actually think I thought about somebody I was talking to somebody else about this. I think we y'all were actually up by like 20. Or
We were
I
up
feel
by
like because No,
We
because
were
remember it
celebrating.
was
I put it like that. We were
yeah, it was
celebrating.
the time when like the kickoff happened or whatever, and the guy that was returning the kick just kind of like threw the ball lazy to the ref, and like you guys got it and scored and like put you up by like 2 or 3 touchdowns or something stupid.
Then
And
then AB
yeah,
AB just did. AB turned into a whole different person. I was like, who is this dude?
yeah,
We like I said, we were celebrating. Like I think we were making plans. Like yo, we're going to the Super Bowl. And like I blinked, and it was like, yo, we lost. Like hold up, we
yeah.
lost.
I would. So you guys, it'd be interesting. I I could be wrong in this, and I'm saying this without looking this up, but it'd be interesting to see who the best teams were when each of us won our respective Super Bowls over the past 20 years or
Mm.
24 years. Like, because
Oh,
there's the Joe Flacco, because I'm curious to know, like, did you have to beat us to go, or did we have to beat you guys to go, like, to the AFC Championship, or were we the AFC Championship? Because it's kind of like the Kobe
um,
and Duncan thing, where it's like, I wonder how many rings Kobe could have gotten if Tim Duncan didn't play for the Spurs, and I wonder how, like, if
right.
you remove that factor, because as a Kobe fan, I felt like every year we freaking had to play the Spurs, and they either put us out or we beat them. And it was like,
So so I think the year y'all went to the last Super Bowl y'all were in, I think y'all went through us to get there.
okay,
Uh, but I mean, even if it's somewhere deep in there. If it wasn't the AFC Championship, it was the game to go to the AFC Championship. It was one
right,
of those things where you want to pay attention to the seeding. Like, dog, I don't want to have to play the
yep,
Steelers.
that's all
Like,
we look at. Like,
I
I
I,
always say
pro-
that. I always,
I
I'll
said
go
that this
in.
year.
Yeah, I'll go and like I would prefer Kansas City or Buffalo or
Yeah,
like, because I feel like
yeah.
we have a fighting chance. But I feel
I'm
like when
not
you play
solo
Ravens,
Buffalo.
it's
I
like
give
all
me
bets are
Buffalo.
off. It's like all
Listen,
bets are
when
off. So
when they did the brackets and they showed the Steelers were the 7 at 7, I was just like, please no, I don't want to see them. Like, and everybody like I have friends be like, yo, we beat the Steelers, we can beat the Steelers. Like, dog, like that's not even a team you want to play with. Like, I
yeah.
don't. I'd rather not play them.
So I think you guys are. This is a crazy stat. Last year the Steelers went 7-1 in the AFC North,
I can believe it.
and
We
I
were there
don't
one
think.
loss, right? We split. We
No, it
split.
was the Browns. We beat y'all both times. So
Y'all
remember,
beat us
like
twice.
the first time it was Porter Jr. getting the interception in the end zone. And then the
Mm-hmm.
second time, to be fair, y'all had rested all your starters because you didn't need to
Right,
win.
right,
And
right.
we won. I think it was like a rain game or something like that. Because I remember like Jadeveon Clowney was still in, and I was like, take him out. We need to win. What are
Oh,
we doing?
he needed the yeah, he wanted that
he
seven
need,
hundred
he
fifty
need,
thousand dollar bonus.
yeah, and then we beat the Bengals twice and we split with the Browns. But I'm like, but that just shows you, and we didn't have a quarterback that could, anyways, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, anyways, that just kind of shows you what we're dealing with. But I will end this. I appreciate you for just
No
taking the
doubt.
time, chatting with
Anytime.
me. You always look out, and I respect that. So, thank you for being you, and thank you for
No
being
problem.
real.
All right. I'll talk to you.